You've probably heard of the word metaphysics. I support the word meta-I concept. And to be clear, meta-I means all eyes at birth as actually measured, not multiple medical theories of the eye, but only one concept. The meta-I means you don't impose words like emmetropia, hyperopia, myopia on the data because you were taught to believe all eyes are bad cameras. You don't do that. You only report what you actually measure. And after exhaustive effort with Francis Young and others, it's very clear that the meta-I controls its refractive state to its average accommodation. It's a control system. Always would, always was, always will be. Refractive state doesn't prove that the eye is defective. And while you measure a positive refractive state, it doesn't prove that the eye is defective in any sense or in any way. But inevitably, people who don't understand this will measure the eye as having a positive refraction of 3 diopters and knee-jerk way put the child into +3. And they think it's wonderful. They think they've solved a problem that doesn't really exist. Because if you let the eye alone, just the closed work and the refraction will come down towards 0. It's normal. But and this is from the primate data. If you do that to a primate eye at 3 diopters, the primate eye will remain at 3 diopters. In other words, permanently, because they don't understand the meta-I as concept, as physics, as science. Because it's so easy just to call eyes defective if you measure the eye as having a refractive state and you don't understand the whole concept. So that's the video of the child looks like 3 diopters put into a +3. I advocate a +3, but only if the person understands the reason why it's wise and necessary when they get down to 20/40. And of course, I'm wearing a plus long term to keep my refractive state measured at +0.5 diopter myself. So that is where the argument really crashes. The antique theory that all eyes are bad cameras and all you have to do is measure the eye's refractive state and put a lens on it equal to your measurement. And that misconception of putting a child into a +3 when the child could get out of it is the real tragedy of a simplistic theory used without any real understanding of the eye's actual behavior, the meta-I concept. So, and this was really partly what Jacob Rayfield was thinking about, although he couldn't articulate it effectively because the public won't understand it. We often become victims of something we don't really understand, or we don't want to bother, we don't want to take it seriously, we don't want to do anything. I understand that completely. That's why I don't blame any ophthalmologist. But I do look at them to understand the eye's behavior such that they help their own children with prevention, like Rupa Wong, and beginning prevention while the refractive state's still measured as positive, as I am doing it. That says a lot of appreciation of science, what's going to happen, and what to do about it before it happens. That's science when you do that. And that's what Rupa Wong is doing it. She won't attempt to explain why she is doing it, but the why she is doing it is in the meta-I concept. So it'd be wise to take the time to better understand the concept, because prevention will ultimately mean your personal measurement of your refractive state before you get down to 2040. Now, I don't get angry about this because I know my own habits and the impossibility of dealing with a child. I accept that. I don't blame anybody. It existed. It's a problem. But for an engineer who designs control systems and can understand the meta-I concept, it becomes very clear that the problem is we must understand the eye's behavior such that we'll start prevention before we get down to 2040. Certainly, Antonio Medina, as an expert in control systems, including the Hubble Space Telescope, understood this and was partly his college thesis. And I certainly understood it, and that's what got me to Jacob Rafelson. Then it became clear that the public's ignorant of the meta-I physics will always kill prevention for the general public. So let's stop making this a medical problem. Although I know you always do that, jumping to conclusions, not understanding serious consequences. That's why, basically, I say I need to talk to electrical engineers entering a four-year college about this subject of the meta-I and the concept that all eyes are control systems. And specifically, that child was put into +3. The study was done by a Dr. Smith III, and that is also published. And what they found was the meta-I follows the lens. A very obviously physical equation, mathematics. And I've gone through this many times. And probably a medical person will say, well, the public's not going to understand. I have no responsibility to do with the completely normal eye, except when it comes to measuring a child with a refractive state of +3 and prescribing a +3 diopter lens. They'll never understand. So Dr. Johnson is trying to work his way out of it. I don't know his result. I don't really ask him, because only he will know his result, because he will make the measurement on his Snellen. And that's completely up to him. So as long as when we slice and dice this meta-I, have uniform changes of refractive states to plus to minus, and make all meta-I's defective because of our language, because of our misconception, we'll never have a decent conversation about the eye's behavior that is mathematical and scientific and objective. And that is where we stand after all these years. So add your own commentary. That was the real lesson I learned from understanding the eye's behavior, the meta-I for all eyes, refractive states, versus talking with Jacob Rafelson and talking about the ignorance of the public and the impossibility of dealing with the ignorance of the public. If you're insulted, maybe you're not learning anything. Have a great day and enjoy intelligence and the growth of intelligence, and wisdom, and in science. Thank you.